Hey, Prairie View. If you've been around for any amount of time with our church, then you know that communion, the Lord's Supper, is directly related to the Jewish Passover. The Passover was a meal that was instituted and then celebrated every year uh, to commemorate the Exodus, the sacrificial lamb, the Lord passing over the houses of the Israelites, the unleavened bread. And one of the themes of that story, when you look at it in the book of Exodus, is haste. The haste, the speed with which things happened and with which the Israelites fled Egypt. In fact, in Exodus 12, I think 39, you read where they didn't plan, right? They didn't plan, they didn't have enough food. And that was one of the things that the leavened bread pointed to was if you've ever baked any bread, and as Joshua mentioned, I think everyone is at least trying to bake bread right now during the pandemic. If you're going to let bread rise, it takes time. And if you are doing it, if you are leaving in haste, you are fleeing speedily. You don't have time to wait around for your bread to rise. And so that flat bread reminded the Israelites that this wasn't an escape that they planned, that they left in haste because God was doing it. Now, I've heard it said, and maybe you've heard it said, that failing to plan is planning to fail. But the thing with our faith, with being a Christian, being a believer, being saved, is that we couldn't plan ourselves into it. Just like the Israelites could never have made a plan on their own to leave Egypt, and they were reminded of that every single year by the leavened bread, we can't plan ourselves into salvation because we are all dead, and dead people stay dead. Romans 8, verse 3 says that God has done what the law, weakened by the flesh, could not do. By sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh and for sin, he condemned sin in the flesh. We couldn't save ourselves. And so as we eat this flat cracker, or maybe your bread isn't flat, but it's a reminder that this is something God has done on our behalf. Our best laid plans would never be enough to earn us salvation. And we depend fully on the work of God. And that's what the Jews were reminded of every time they ate Passover. And it's what we also ought to be reminded of every time we take communion, that Jesus Christ died on our behalf. There was no amount of planning, no amount of work that we could do to be saved. And so as you break bread and drink juice or wine or whatever that might be, remember God's mercy and love and grace to you.